from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Noble Hospital, a brand new name for a Westfield institution which is improving the health of our community every day with quality and compassion. Noble Hospital and Bay State Health, better together.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Morning, Westfield. It is 6:05. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, May 15th. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning.
I was noticing today when I left my house that it's so light out now.
Yeah.
You know, it's light. It's not getting light. It's not like the sun is coming. It's light out when we leave now at 5:20 in the morning. So that's kind of nice.
I always find the sun angle in this time of the year is pretty nice because it's coming right between the buildings when you walk across the campus.
Yeah, it's really pretty. And of course, campus is quiet now, Pete.
Yeah, finals are over.
Finals are over. Graduation is this weekend, along
Saturday.
with everything else that's happening in Westfield this weekend. This is it, folks. This is what we've been talking about for 2 years. This is what poor Harry Rock, I don't know if Harry really understood what he was taking on when he took on this 350th.
I think he had an inkling.
You know what, though? It's like so many other things. I likened it to the building of the new senior center. It takes on a life of its own, you know?
And I don't think it would have been as big or grand as it was if Harry Rock wasn't running it.
I agree with you, Pete.
On the flip side.
On target with you. I agree. Because it could have been, a little celebration.
Maybe one day.
You know. I mean, this has been going on strong.
Harry knows how to motivate people.
And you know what? That's why I think it took on a life of its own, because there are so many people who are involved. And it's really interesting, as you talk to people as we get closer to this weekend and the culmination of all of this. I can't even remember who I was talking to over the last week that was saying, well, I don't have anything to do with that piece of it. That's so-and-so's in charge of that. And and then I brought up something else, right? And so-and-so's in charge of that. So I don't know anything about that.
It's a big organization.
It is. It really is. And Harry's just done, there's got to be an award out there somewhere for him because he's just done an amazing job.
I think he'd be volunteer of the year for the city next year. I would say
smokes.
That's a done deal.
Yeah, I totally
Lock
agree.
it up, put it on the plaque.
I agree. Absolutely. So much stuff going on. And I know yesterday in Bob Plass's Wow, It's Tuesday show, you went over a lot of,
we have our card.
We all have our card. We've got everything. I got all kinds of stuff.
Gave some more out yesterday.
Yep. And there you go. And for those of us, I saw that when I came up Western Avenue, they have the signs reminding people that Saturday is race day. We've got Run Westfield on Saturday. I'm happy to report for those of you that want to follow my progress and my training for this race, which this is like the race of the year. This, for anybody, and I'm not a huge runner. I'm into it, but I'm not. Some people are really, really into it. But it's a great race because you can get your own personal best time. That's what I'm always going for, just my personal best time, because it's flat and a little bit of a downhill slope. So it's a nice race to run. So I went out and I ran yesterday. I had my best run of the year yesterday, my best time.
Okay.
I in my training. So I felt good. I felt strong. And when I looked at my watch, I don't check my watch as I run. I just wait till I'm all done. And then I look at it and then I compare how did I do from, 3 days ago or whatever. In the last 2.5 weeks, I've taken 2 minutes and 16 seconds off of my running time. That's huge for like 4 miles.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that and ready to run. And knock on wood, the weather is looking phenomenal.
It's getting better
weekend.
and drier and drier.
It is looking absolutely wonderful for this weekend. So I would encourage all of you to get out there. There is so much to do this weekend. There are so many opportunities. If you go to westfield350.org, choose what you want to do. It doesn't have to be a race. It doesn't have to be the parade. There's stuff going on at Grandmother's Garden. There's fireworks. There's parties.
There's yoga. There's plenty of yoga
There's
this
yoga
weekend. Stuff
going on both at Grandmother's Garden and at the bridges.
Vintage baseball. There's a car show.
There's a
car show on Saturday, while you guys are from 10 to 1 over at Westfield Tech Academy in the upper parking lot.
So, I mean,
vintage baseball after the parade.
So much. Are they playing at Bullens? Vintage baseball?
No, they are going to
play
at Yakum Field. They're going to honor Mr. Yakum.
Where, just for those of us who don't know,
that's the lower field on the. So you have Bullens in the football field, then you have the lower baseball field.
Oh, okay. So same neck of the woods, though.
Yeah, right down just on the hill. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And that's a traditional field that's been there for a long, long time.
And when are they doing that, Pete?
Right after the parade, so about 4:00.
Oh, perfect. That's kind of nice because when I was looking at the schedule, I thought, oh my gosh, when the parade is over, I know the mummers are going to perform, and then I'm like, that's it.
Yeah,
it's
that's
over.
it.
We're done.
I need some sleep.
I know everybody needs some
friends
sleep.
of mine are playing down at Rick Stark, the wiring guy.
Yes.
His band's going to be playing at the shortstop out on the patio from like 4 or 5 to 7 or 4 to 7 or 5 to 8.
On which day? On
Sunday?
That sounds like a place to go.
Yes, that might be a place to go for a beer afterwards.
That sounds like a place to go.
After I'm done tearing down.
We have
a big setup.
Yes.
It's going to be a big setup for that.
Yeah.
We're going to start setting up around 9.
Yeah.
For the video of that.
A lot of stuff going on.
I'm still typing in graphics for that. 82 marching units I have to type in.
Yeah, I know. I was talking to Joyce Peregrine, our companion program coordinator, and Joyce is on the 350th committee.
She did all the speaker series.
Yeah, she did. She did a lot of the fundraising too. She was in charge of that committee. So that and as Joyce said, I mean, her committee the fundraising stuff was started, months and months ago. So
years ago,
right, exactly. But she's in charge of one, her group 2 of the floats coming in, of which we are
Division
in there,
2, yes.
Division 2, whatever it is, and.
I have my list somewhere.
She said I chose that because it had the Athenaeum, but there are 4 floats in there. It was ours and the Athenaeum, and I think the YMCA and something else. She thought, those are all people I know. I'll take that group.
I haven't got to Division 4 yet.
Yeah. Boy,
I'm still typing in stuff.
It's crazy.
Well, I had to
but
come
it's gonna be
across.
fun.
I wanted to do a graphic with the 350 logo on it. And I spent most of the day yesterday trying to figure out how to do it in conventional means. And finally I just said, you know what, I'm doing it the simplest. I'm leaving the logo up the entire time and have the banners come up underneath them.
Yeah, there you go.
It'll look cool. It really will look cool. And I've had people reaching out to me saying, are we videoing it? Well, we know you're going to do it live, but are you going to record it? I'm like, duh. Of course I'm going to record it. I'm going to record it.
You've recorded everything else that's had to do with the 350.
I'm recording in 3 different ways.
Yeah.
As it stands now, I'm going to be recording in a whole bunch of ways. So, yeah.
It's amazing. Good stuff.
Yep.
All right. So it is May 15th. So let's talk about a few famous. We only have a couple of famous birthdays today, which is fine. So it is the birthday of Madeleine Albright, diplomat, born May 15th, 1937 in Prague, the Czech Republic. She is 82 years old today. Madeleine Albright moved with her family to the United States as a child after studying at Wellesley College and Columbia University. Albright entered politics at the urging of a former professor. In 1993, she became the American ambassador to the United Nations. And in December of 1996, Bill Clinton nominated her for Secretary of State. When she was sworn into the position the following January, she became the 64th Secretary of State and the first woman to ever hold that position. During her tenure, Albright advocated for increased human rights and democracy throughout the world and fought to halt the spread of nuclear weapons from former Soviet countries to rogue nations such as North Korea. A champion of NATO, Madeleine Albright also sought to expand the organization's membership and in 1999 pushed for its direct military intervention during the humanitarian crisis in Kosovo. It seems like such a long time ago because we've had so many other humanitarian crises. As a diplomat, Madeleine Albright was closely involved in work to normalize U.S. relations with countries such as China and Vietnam. And in 1997 was a major player in a peace mission to the Middle East, during which she brokered negotiations between Israel and various Arab nations. In October 2000, Albright made history again when she became the first American Secretary of State to travel to North Korea. Albright left her position in 2001 to pursue other projects. So happy 82nd birthday to Madeleine Albright. It is cool. Yeah, it is also the birthday of the late Pierre Curie, physicist, chemist, born May 15th, 1859 in Paris, France, and he died April 19th in 1906. Pierre Curie conducted his studies of radioactive substances with his wife Marie, and the pair overcame the challenges posed by inadequate lab equipment and heavy teaching schedules. They succeeded in isolating the elements of radium and polonium. Marie Curie named polonium after her native country, Poland. The Curies went on to describe many of the novel properties of radium, which would form the basis of subsequent research in the fields of nuclear physics and chemistry. Wasn't I'm trying to remember now, Kevin Coughlin's son, nuclear physicist? I know he was talking about that yesterday on the show.
I can't remember.
I know it's some, field that
astrophysicist.
Astrophysicist. There you go. Okay. Well, Pierre and Marie Curie were awarded half of the 1903 Nobel Prize in Physics for their work on radiation. The other half of the prize went to Henry Becquerel, whose work had informed the Curies' research. The Curies were also awarded the Davy Medal of the Royal Society of London in 1903. In 1905, Pierre Curie was elected to the Academy of Sciences. He died in an accident in Paris, France on April 19, 1906. He lost his footing while he was crossing the street and fell beneath the wheels of a horse-drawn vehicle, suffering a fatal skull fracture. He was I know, right? He was only 46 years old. Well, I wondered when I saw his death age, his death date and age, I'm thinking, wow, he was young. How did that happen? Well, that's how it happened.
Accidental.
Yes. All right. May is...
motor vehicle accidents were even bad back then.
Yes, they were. Being a pedestrian, you said 3 Hail Marys when you cross the street. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're not going to do a national day today, but just to let folks know, of course, we have Dr. Akinyele Lovelace, our resident primary care physician, will be joining us in a few minutes. And then second hour, Tracy Clapp and Rosie Feldman from Bay State Noble Hospital will be joining us talking about an upcoming opioid awareness event that they're very involved with. So it seemed appropriate to talk a little bit about May as Mental Health Awareness Month.
Sure.
Since 1949, May has been observed as National Mental Health Awareness Month, a time when advocates and activists across the country draw attention to the mental health issues that affect as many as 1 in 4 Americans. That's 25%, folks. Today, more people die from suicide in the United States than from traffic accidents or homicides, and we lose 22 veterans to suicide daily. Did you know that addiction to drugs or alcohol is a mental illness? Addiction changes the brain in fundamental ways, changing a person's normal needs and desires and replacing them with new priorities connected with seeking and using the drug. This results in compulsive behaviors that weaken the ability to control impulses despite the negative consequences and are similar to hallmarks of other mental illnesses. Addiction interferes with the ability to work, go to school, and have good relationships with friends and family. In 2014, 20.2 million adults in the United States had a substance abuse disorder, and 7.9 million had both a substance abuse disorder and another mental illness. Having 2 illnesses at the same time is known as comorbidity, and it can make treating each disorder more difficult. Unfortunately, because of the stigma associated with mental illness, many people are too ashamed or embarrassed to seek the help they need for themselves or their loved ones. National Mental Health Awareness Month is a time when we work together to break through that stigma. We express compassion for those who struggle with mental health issues, and we draw attention to the proven methods that can help change their lives for the better. So, we have lots of songs later on the second hour on Mental Health Awareness Month. All right, it is 6:18. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. Our first song is our first song is for Dr. Akinyele Lovelace. It's our Bring Him In song. It's The Doctor by the Doobie Brothers.
Underwriting for WSKB's community radio programming is brought to you in part by Dunkin' Donuts, providing new handcrafted espresso drinks and all-day breakfast sandwiches. There's more to love with DD Perks, a loyalty program that's loyal to you. On the web at DunkinDonuts.com and at several locations throughout Westfield, including the Ely Campus Center.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:23. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, May 15th, the Wednesday before the big 350th Westfield celebration. Yeah, exactly, right?
I need to keep mellow for a couple days.
I know. Pete and I are just sort of trying to, chill out here.
The calm before the storm.
Calm before the storm. It's going to be a little crazy. But by the way, speaking of the 350th, which how can you not talk about the 350th this week? But this show, what's the name of the show? Wait, I've got it here somewhere. What's it called?
Time in Westfield.
Time in Westfield. There it is.
It's,
so I
tonight.
had... Yeah, that's why I wanted
tonight.
to bring it up. I know there are performances all over, and
The Friday night performance is sold out because it's going to be all
Yes.
Westfield, a recognition for Westfield 350 volunteers,
I know.
sponsors.
I've been invited to that. I'm excited about it.
And then a
Karen and I are
matinee
going.
on Saturday, which I think I got a videotape in between everything else.
Yes, but I had two of my board members on my COA board, Jim Liptak and Liz Boucher, went to see it and said it was outstanding.
I heard it's really
They
good.
said it was just terrific.
Even though last minute their
Yes,
lead had
I
to back
know.
away, and Peter.
But they said he did a great job.
Peter Hicks is doing a great job.
They said he did a great job. So yeah, so Pete, let's see. There's a show tomorrow night, May 16th.
Yeah, sorry,
Yes,
Thursday night.
Right, Thursday night at 7:30, Saturday at 2:00. And that's it, right?
Yep.
Because the Friday night one is already sold.
It already ran last week.
All right.
Last
And it was
weekend as well.
ran last week, and that's when they saw it last week. So that was pretty cool.
And they're also setting that up so that the high school can do this next fall as their musical.
as a theater production, as a high school theater production.
As their musical, yeah.
Wow, that's really a great idea.
Yeah.
I love that idea because
Kathy-
that way, if people didn't get to see it, they'll
Right,
get to
and
see
it
it in the
gives
high
the
school.
kids, it'll give the kids an education in Westfield history,
Yeah,
too.
that's so what I mean.
And it's a big cast, like 40 people, I think.
I just love the
30,
way
40 people
I
in that
love the
cast.
way this whole 350th has, kind of evolved so that it's not just like, as we were talking about before, Pete, it's not like a
Static.
one-day celebration. I mean, that whole lecture series, people have taken away that knowledge. They're all talking about it. I hear them at the senior center.
People are demanding that we run the rest of them.
Yeah. So, just the educational piece.
Yeah.
All right. So my guest this morning, first hour, he's not really I can't really call you a guest. You're like family here.
Well.
Dr. Akinyele Lovelace. He's our resident primary care physician from Family Medicine Associates. So I have to start out right off the bat because, he wants to stay in good with the wife. So I do want to remind everybody that we have designer bag bingo tomorrow at St. Mary's School because Christina Lovelace is very actively involved in that. Are there still tickets left? Do you know? Has she said anything?
I do not know.
You do not know. Okay.
I cannot confirm nor
No?
deny.
Okay. That's okay.
But check online.
Yeah,
'cause there
just
could
check
be
online.
Some
Yep.
availability still.
You go to STM Bag Bingo. That's how. I think if you just go into St. Mary's School Designer Bag Bingo,
Yep.
it'll take you to where you need to go. But it's tomorrow night. Doors open at 6:00. Bingo begins at 7. I'm taking my staff. We have our table, so we have our senior center staff table. Tickets are $35, $40 at the door if they're available. So I would check to just make sure and see if they're available. So, Dr. Lovelace, since your last appearance on the show, we were talking off air, but who in the world had the audacity to flock you?
I have no idea.
I don't know
have
about
my
that.
suspicions.
Yeah. So
And,
tell us about the flocking experience.
Oh, it was fantastic. I wasn't aware of what it was at the time.
But you got a quick education. He had the pink flamingos on his lawn.
I was actually trying to enjoy. It was one of those days where we actually had sunshine in the morning to start the day.
Oh, yay.
And it was so fascinating. I was motivated to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm going to go for a run. So
I love it.
So I went outside and I just started running. And by the time I came back, there were flamingos in the yard. Exactly. So I immediately go inside and I report this to my wife. I said, "Babe, there are flamingos in the yard," and she goes, "What do you mean flamingos?"
Yeah, Christina was not happy. What?
Well, she wasn't really understanding what I was saying.
Yeah.
It was early in the morning.
Hey, I get it.
And I was like, no, honestly, there are flamingos in the yard. And she goes, "What do you mean flamingos?" I said, "Well, there are pink flamingos outside."
In our yard.
In our
That's
yard.
what I mean.
By our flagpole. And she goes, oh, I didn't put them there. I was like, I realize you didn't put them there. And she goes, well, they weren't there last night. I said, I realize that. I'm just saying that they're there. So she's like, I'm not understanding anything you're saying. I said, well, you're going to have to just come outside and look.
They have appeared.
And see what it is. And so, of course, the kids were like, what? Flamingos? So they came down. They loved it. And then when we finally realized it was the fundraiser.
Yes.
That made it even more awesomer. That's not a word, but it made it even better. So that was great. So we truly had a blast with it. Now, and then, wait, I thought it was over. And then was it yesterday? We got flocked again.
You got flocked again?
We got flocked
I cannot
again.
take credit for yesterday's flocking.
So I'm not quite sure who flocked us again, but it's been so much fun because now we realize since it's a fundraiser, we could do it to other people.
Well, see, that's the best part of it. That's what happened. So we got flocked at the senior center, and actually, I have to say, it was Pete's suggestion because I, had somebody else in mind, which I flocked, and Pete
I take
said,
plausible deniability. I don't remember saying that.
And Pete said he thought the girls would get the biggest kick out of it, and I said, "Oh my gosh, they absolutely would." So we have to put the Lovelace family on our flocking list. So I think it's a great fundraiser.
It's a great fundraiser.
And I was talking to Heather about it, and she said I had emailed her, and I said, great fun. We had a blast with it at the senior center where, we're flocking other people. She said we only had one bah humbug who took them all and put them on the tree belt, but everybody else totally into it. And then, figuring out, okay, now who can we flock, which is the whole idea behind the fundraiser.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, but,
but
it's great. But it's also one of those fundraisers that really involves the students themselves,
Yes.
not just mom and dads, which is kind of cool.
Because it's a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, who did all of this? Like, just the amount of them that can be out there.
Well, the number, I think
the flash mob that rolled by your house.
Exactly. And they do, I think that Pete and I were talking about, I think Heather said they do like 8 or 10 a night.
Oh, man. That's
and, they're doing, you only get them for 24 hours. So it's like, there's a lot of movement going on and with the flocking. So hopefully they've made a lot of money. That was for the Westfield Middle School the middle school for their
like 8th grade.
Yes, the 8th grade for their field trip to Washington, D.C.
So which is awesome.
Good stuff there. What else? So what's going on with the girls? We're in the warm weather.
Well, wait a minute. I just got so the bingo, there are still a few tickets left, by the way.
Okay. Thank you, Christina.
Thanks to our sponsors at Bay State Noble.
Okay.
There is still
You even got the party line, too.
Excellent. So we know there are some designer bag tickets left.
There are still some
Just
left.
a few.
Just a few. But
get them while they're hot.
Please do, because it's going to be a lot of fun.
It is going to be a lot. Now, are you going to be there?
Tina,
do you have a choice? You have no option. See, my husband is the same way.
No choice,
yeah,
Tina.
There are certain things that I give Gary a choice about, and then there are other things it's like, I really need your help.
I got to be there. I mean, last year I was the runner to the package store.
Yes.
Because we didn't realize. So there was a set amount of alcohol that was donated.
Yes.
And it looks like that kind of got taken care of within the first 20 minutes,
right?
30 minutes. So
exactly.
So I spent the remainder of that event going back and forth to the package store. What was so funny is that the gentlemen that were there, so like the first time and the second time, they're like, oh, okay. The third time, they're like, wait a minute. Where are you going?
Yeah, where is this alcohol going
They're
to?
like, where are you guys going? And I said, well, I'm going to St. Mary's. And he goes, St. Mary's? What is happening at St. Mary's?
Gonna have a lot of angry women if I don't make it back.
I was like, sir, yes, this is a big deal,
this is
right?
Big.
Like,
yeah, this is a big thing.
I need the biggest bottles of Pinot Grigio you have, and I need like a case of them now.
Right,
and he's like, well, I'll do what I can. Do you need me to put more in the refrigerator? And I'm like, well, the way things are going, put all of it in the refrigerator.
Yes, that would be a good idea.
Back,
Start refrigerating.
So by the fifth trip, he was like, man, this is amazing. Whatever you guys are doing sounds like a really good time, and I wish I had come down there. And I was like, well, it'll go down next year, so you guys come on down. So it was a ton of fun. So yes, I will be there.
Okay.
I don't know if I'll be the bartender this year.
Yeah.
But the great news is that Holyoke Liquor Mart did donate the alcohol for this year as well.
Nice.
And we did get more. So I think it'll be
great.
It'll be a great time for those who like to partake in the good spirits.
Yeah, there you go. But it's a lot of fun. I would encourage people, if you haven't tried it, it's great. And I really like the St. Mary's event. If you've done other designer bag bingos, it's a lot of fun. But I like St. Mary's. It's it's kind of a close
we keep
group, and
it close-knit,
they keep the numbers to where they're manageable.
We have a set number that way it doesn't feel too hot, because sometimes the gym can get a little bit hot. So you want to we really try to make it a good quality event. There's usually vendors also outside in the hallway where there can be little things that you might be interested in to pick up, just in case you don't win. Because it's nice to take something home.
But you know what? It's just a social event. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. I got a table for my staff. It's just a kind of a bonding thing. We have some new staff members that have come on board the last year, and I just wanted to, you kind of want to make them feel welcome and join us in this, kind of a fun out of the work environment and just to do something kind of fun. So it should be a good time. That's at St. Mary's. Doors open at 6. Bingo starts at 7. You can still get your tickets. Christina Lovelace has informed us via text that there are some few tickets left over, but grab them because they're not gonna. They won't last.
Exactly.
They will not last. All right. It is 6:33. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses. We're going to take a short break, but Dr. Lovelace, tell us what our topic is going to be when we come back.
I want to talk about measles.
Yeah, we need to talk about measles. Lots in the news about measles, so we're going to talk about that. We have a couple of songs as a tribute to Doris Day, who, as you know, passed away at the ripe old age of 97 on Monday. So Doris Day, this one is A Guy is a Guy.
I walked down the street like a good girl should. He followed me down the street like I knew he would, because a guy is a guy wherever he may be. So listen and I'll tell you what this fella did to me. I walked to my house like a good girl should. He followed me to my house like I knew he would, because a guy is a guy wherever he may be. So listen while I tell you what this fella did to me. I never saw the boy before, so nothing could be sillier. At closer range, his face was strange, but his manner was familiar. So I walked up the stairs like a good girl should. He followed me up the stairs like I knew he would, because a guy is a guy wherever he may be. So listen and I'll tell you what this fella did to me. I stepped to my door like a good girl should. He stopped at my door like I knew he would, because a guy is a guy wherever he may be. So listen while I tell you what this fella did to me. He asked me for a goodnight kiss. I said it's still good day. I would have told him more, except his lips got in the way. So I talked to my ma like a good girl should, and Ma talked to Pa like I knew she would, and they all agreed on a married life for me. The guy is my guy wherever he may be. So I walked down the aisle like a good girl should. He followed me down the aisle like I knew he would, because a guy is a guy wherever he may be. And now you've heard the story of what someone did to me. That's what he did to me.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Wednesday mornings start off right from 6 to 8 a.m. with Tina Gorman and Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:37. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, May 15th. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning.
And our resident primary care physician, Dr. Akinyele Lovelace, with Family Medicine Associates. Good morning, Dr. Lovelace.
Good morning.
All right. So the topic is measles. So why don't we start by talking about why are we talking about measles?
Well, we need to know what it is first, but we're talking about measles because there's actually been reported outbreaks in measles. Apparently, there was another outbreak reported right outside the Boston, Massachusetts area.
Oh, really?
On Sunday, March 31st.
Okay.
So
and I think that did the initial outbreaks kind of start in the West Coast, like California.
They did.
That was those were the biggies, and
But
so we have now moved 3,000 miles.
Right. We've had some in Wilbraham. I think that was kind of where it kind of started here for us in Massachusetts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I think it's important just to kind of understand what measles is.
Yeah, let's talk about what it is, because for a long time we didn't have any cases, right?
Right. So,
yeah.
And for good reason. For all intents and purposes, measles is really a respiratory illness, number one,
Okay.
that's caused by a virus.
Okay.
Typically, it has a fever, and the fever can be as high as 105. So
Okay.
that's something to keep in mind. You'll usually have a cough, you'll have a rash, and the rash usually will start at the top of your head, go down to your body, and go down into your legs. And that's a really important concept to understand because that's how it kind of presents.
Okay.
The other part to this is that typically the rash, you can kind of have the rash 14 days after the exposure. So the time frame can be delayed.
Yeah.
If you're not really keen on what's going on. So that's the first thing to kind of keep in mind. You made a great point about not having it. For all intents and purposes, in the United States, we declared that measles was eliminated.
Yeah, it was kind of eradicated, right?
2000.
Yeah.
We said it was eliminated. Prior to that, though, prior to the vaccine being created in 1963, you have to keep in mind, we had about 495 deaths a year.
Okay.
So it was a time where, yes, parents had more children because there was a good chance that your child may not live if they caught the measles.
Right.
We now have the good fortune now of having the knowledge of vaccinations. And so for all intents and purposes, we had cases as low as like 26 or 36 at our lowest mark. Mm-hmm. But now we're starting to see an uptick in measles and for a variety of different reasons. We've seen an increase in 2019, and it seems to be due to what they call importations by people who were infected while in other countries. And so what's happening is as well, we're more mobile than we've ever been as a human society.
Yeah.
So we're able to now go to a variety of different countries, whether it's Europe, where you could see a lot of it, the Philippines, Southeastern Asia. There's a lot of areas where the vaccine is not available or it's not offered. And so those who may not have been vaccinated early on in their life will travel to these countries and then bring it back. And then what also happens is that we start to see it in communities or areas where people do not necessarily get the vaccine. Mm-hmm. And so then you have this outbreak.
Yeah.
And so that is one of the big concerns that we're seeing right now.
Because measles is highly infectious. This is what the CDC's been worried about for years.
This is the most contagious viral illness you can get. Like 9 out of 10 people that get exposed get it. Like we can't emphasize that enough. It's so bad that if you were to go and look at mass.gov, they actually will tell you, if you look at the actual the one that was reported outside of Boston, they will tell you where your exposure risks were at. For example,
yes, that's right. I do remember that.
So let's say March 26th, if you were in Plymouth, MA,
right,
at Katie's Burger Bar, or 327 in Framingham, if you were at the Starbucks at Waltham, like there
yes,
are, it is,
that's right.
They
I remember hearing that because
and I'm not making this up. I'm literally reading
this is legit.
Yeah. No, I heard that on the news as well.
How important and how infectious this can become, because what we do know is that of all the things that you could catch that are in the air, we always, there are always these movies about people becoming infected, an outbreak, and we worry about Ebola and all these other things, which, don't get me wrong, that's a very severe illness. But the ones that we need to be worried about are the ones that we actually know and see, and measles is one of them. And that's one that we could actually prevent outbreaks from occurring.
And then, you know what? The problem is that so many people have done this try to propel this fake thing that you're better off not getting the vaccines, and that's wrong. You are better off getting the vaccines.
Yeah, I would agree with the vaccines 100%. I'm someone that firmly believes in it, because I feel like some of the greatest strides we've made in healthcare in general has always been in our public health approach. I'm going to continue to reinforce that and state that. How much value do I put in taking an aspirin every day? How much value? Like, it's very specific, in my opinion. It's not a blanketed thing, but there are certain things that are very blanketed. And in my mind, there are certain things that I just feel like are important from a community perspective. Good hygiene, washing hands, vaccinations, in my mind, all fall together. And we can have a very, a good argument about the time frame, like the time frame in which I should get the vaccine, or how many do I actually need to get, right? Like, I think those are relevant conversations. But I do think if you're taking a risk of putting yourself and other people's health at risk, I really think we need to really kind of go over that again and really understand why we're okay with that or we're not okay with it. And so from my perspective, I'm not okay with it. I do think we need to take into account that something that is contagious and at such a risk for our children is something that really, really kind of gets under my skin a little bit when we're talking about the increased risk of death that we do see for children when exposed to this type of illness. And let alone that, even if you survive it, there is a risk where you can still die 7 to 10 years later. So this is not...
It weakens you enough where it could be a problem, right?
Well, what it can do, believe it or not, the two things that can happen. Number one, it can cause permanent brain damage, right? It can cause death. The other part is after you've been exposed, even if you survive it, there is a percentage where you develop almost it's called a demyelinating type of disease, where you start to lose your nerve function, and then you succumb to it 7 to 10 years later. So
it sounds almost like an MS.
It does. It does.
Or like an ALS or something.
Correct. Yeah. That's what it would sound like. It would look like Lou Gehrig's disease to a certain extent. So from my perspective, I'm not the person that would recommend taking that kind of risk by avoiding the vaccination.
So let me ask you, when are people the most, when is it the most contagious? Is it before people even know that they have measles? You know what I mean? So, like
4 days. Yeah, within that 4-day period.
Okay.
So if the person that 4-day interaction around that person, and then even 4 days after you've had the rash, you're still very contagious. And if you're having a fever, extremely. So that's why it's so important to get on top of this.
Do adults need a booster shot for the measles, or is it a one-shot deal?
It depends on when you were born. So if you were born before 1957, probably not. If you were born after 1957, there are two things you could do. If you are kind of confident that you might have got the vaccine at some point in your life, specifically after 1963, what you could do is we could order kind of a lab panel to kind of prove your immunity. That's the first thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing we could do, if you do not know whether or not you're immune or not, then you just get vaccinated. So
schedule me in.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm serious.
Well, you were born after 57.
Born in 71, but I'm sure I got vaccinated for school or something like that.
Did,
but
right?
you
so
never
it's a
know.
good chance, right? Because a lot of schools, a lot of colleges, medical schools, like a lot of those places where there's a lot of young children or young adults, it's kind of a rule. Now, people always want to take exception to that and don't feel like that's necessary. And they have their reasons, and I respect their reasons. But I do think when you're in a large population of adults under the age of 20, you have to keep in mind that this is something that can be fatal.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about what measles. Oh, you know what? We need to take a break. Well, and then I want to talk a little bit about, sort of the progression of the disease. You mentioned high fever and rash, but sort of what happens during the progression of the disease. So it is 6:47. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. This is our second tribute song to Doris Day. It's called "Why Did I Tell You I Was Going to Shanghai?"
Who's gonna kiss me? Who's gonna thrill me? Who's gonna hold me tight tonight? Why did I tell you I was going to Shanghai? I want to be with you tonight. Why did I holler I was going to Shanghai? I want to be with you tonight. It was just a little misunderstanding that a kiss on the cheek could patch. I need you so badly, I'd gladly start all over from scratch. Oh, why did I tell you it was bye-bye for Shanghai? I'm even allergic to rice. Why don't you stop me when I talk about Shanghai? It's just a lover's device. Now who's gonna kiss me? Who's gonna thrill me? Who's gonna hold me tight? I'm right around the corner in the phone booth, and I wanna be with you tonight. Allergic to rice. Why don't you stop me when I talk about Shanghai? It's just a lover's device. Now who's gonna kiss me? Who's gonna thrill me? Who's gonna hold me tight? I'm right around the corner in the phone booth, and I wanna be with you tonight. Who's gonna kiss me? Who's gonna thrill me? Who's gonna hold me tight? I'm right around the corner in the phone booth, and I wanna, yes, I wanna be with you tonight.
One of our underwriters here at WSKB's Community Radio is Carson Center for Health and Human Services, a nonprofit organization located at 20 Broad Street in Westfield. They provided behavioral health and rehabilitation services in communities throughout Western Massachusetts since 1963. There are services for children, adolescents, adults, families, and couples. You can find them on the web at carsoncenter.org or at 413-572-4132.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
It's Tuesday morning from 6 till 8. Wow, it's Tuesday with Bob Plass.
Community Radio
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:50. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, May 15th. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning.
And our resident primary care physician who joins us once a month, Dr. Akinyele Lovelace with Family Medicine Associates here in Westfield, the pretty pink building on Springfield Street. So welcome, Dr. Lovelace.
Good morning.
All right. So the topic today is measles. And let me ask you this. Is it more typical for children to get measles or adults to get measles when there's an outbreak, or are they equally kind of at vulnerable or at risk?
Typically, it's children.
Okay.
Or adults, really adults under the age of 20.
Okay.
And then those that are what we consider to be immunocompromised,
So
or have a
compromised,
weakened immunity. So
Okay.
if you've been battling cancer and you've had to get chemotherapy or something to that effect,
Yes.
or you're on some type of high dose steroids for a variety of different reasons, that would be the person, or HIV/AIDS. That would be the person that would be at risk for developing measles.
Okay. And when somebody actually gets measles, so what is there a typical first symptom? Is it the fever first, or the rash first, or the cough first?
So you're gonna have a cough. You're gonna have a high fever.
Okay.
Your eyes are gonna be red, and you might even have spots in your mouth.
Okay.
So those are like some of the classic things that you're gonna see initially.
Okay.
And then after that, the key thing is that rash. So that rash that you start to see, that it kind of starts at the head. So all of a sudden you have a rash on your face, or you have a rash that it really encompasses your entire face, honestly, and then starts to travel down. If you're starting to notice that your rash is starting to travel down from your face, down to your trunk, down to your legs, you've been exposed, or you have measles. And if you're caring for someone who's had that person needs to either A, we need to confirm that they have immunity, or B, get their MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, so get their vaccine or vaccination within 72 hours to kind of make sure that they won't catch it also.
Okay.
But like I said, the symptoms typically start rash on your face, high fever, cough, spots in the inside of your mouth. Those are all key signs that you probably need to be evaluated, and or you probably not need to be around anybody.
Well, I know. So here's my thing. So if somebody just, kind of has those symptoms, what do you do? Because if you go to the doctor's office, now you've exposed everybody that's there. If you go to the ER, it's same thing. So it's like, what? How do you do that? What do you do?
That's true. But you do need to be evaluated sometimes by medical personnel, because this can progress.
Yeah.
So it is one of those things where if you're not sure about yourself and or your child or your loved one, you do need to seek medical care immediately. Because although there is no real antiviral medicine.
Yeah, I was going to say, and so what is the treatment then?
It's usually supportive. Sometimes they give high doses of vitamin A.
Okay.
But outside of that, you really need to make sure that from a breathing standpoint, that they are okay. So I think that's the key thing. And then isolation. You have to keep them within, for that 4-day period of when you saw the rash and the fascia have gone away, they can't be around a lot of other people. So it's extremely, extremely important to contain what you've got. So is the best option for you to go to your doctor's office or go to the hospital? The answer is always going to be yes, as far as I'm concerned. That way we can at least know who's involved, and we can write and document our exposure risk. So that type of assessment is extremely important in order to make sure that what we potentially think is there is contained. And I think that's the biggest risk or biggest need that we have to kind of meet.
Okay, and I would imagine because of the high fever that you'd want to get one of the things would be to keep the person hydrated so they don't dehydrate.
Absolutely, hydration is going to be extremely important in this scenario, and then making sure that they are breathing and making sure that they don't develop a pneumonia from this. Or any other type of, because at the end of the day, this is still a respiratory infection.
Okay.
So you've got to imagine that your body right now is fighting really hard. And so making sure that this person's getting enough oxygen, and making sure that we're just looking and making sure that they're not blue because they aren't getting any oxygen to their lungs is extremely important.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! And how long does this go on? I mean, how long does it last? So the rash and the fever and all of that. What's the expectation for?
You can theoretically, so you can be exposed and then not even develop a rash for 14 days.
Okay, and then once the rash breaks and the fever spikes,
once that's gone, you still could potentially still be contagious even after the rash is gone 4 days later. So we're looking at almost a month here sometimes of just being afflicted with the measles. So this is not something that just comes and goes. It's not like, I had the flu bug and I felt bad for 24 hours.
Right, and that's what I was trying to...
You're infirmed like this. And I think that the bigger part to this is we've had the luxury of not having to deal with contagious diseases of childhood for a couple of generations now. We have to just keep that in mind. Decades. And so a lot of people do not remember or do not have friends that had polio.
Yeah.
Who've been stricken with that, where it's left them crippled. We don't have friends we don't remember people who've developed or had rheumatic fever anymore. We don't see these things, and so in our collective community consciousness, we just kind of think that that's something that will never happen in our lifetime.
Well, that happens in like Africa or over there. It happens over there.
I think it's really interesting that you say that, and here's where the age difference just among the three of us here. Now, I mean, I'm in my 60s, and I had my neighbor dated a man who, when she was in high school, who had polio. And, I can remember the crutches. That was the first time I had ever seen anybody, with the crutches and the braces and and to drive, he had to have all hand, the hand things. My younger brother had rheumatic fever. I had scarlet fever. And that's the only thing I can think of when you were talking about the measles thing, 'cause scarlet fever. And all I can remember is I was 5. I was in kindergarten at the time, and I think I was out of school for almost a month. And I can just remember lying in bed. I remember that was in the old days. The doctors used to do house calls. The doctor came in and, diagnosed it. And, I just remember not even wanting to move. And I remember my mother trying to get me to drink. And I had, she was trying to get me to drink ginger ale, something that I would like that was special. Man, I just was like, I can't do. I remember my eyes open. People were coming and going. And I was just totally out of it, So and my younger brother had rheumatic fever, was out of school for a year. And he could not walk up and down the stairs. We had to carry him up and down the stairs, and was on and then he was on penicillin for like 2 decades after that. So,
and I was the last.
Those of us who are older, and of
remember
course
that.
my folks, the folks at the senior center, even older, do certainly remember that. But I think you're right. You have these generations who never saw any of that.
Nope.
It was gone.
Barbara Coleman says that Walgreens is offering the measles shot. Is that something for people who just don't know, just go get it, or should they consult a doctor first?
No, like I said, if you are. You should probably talk to your physician first, because
it's worth a phone call.
It's just worth a phone call. Now, if you don't remember it whatsoever, it's not a bad option, but it's definitely talk to your doctor first about it, because
they may send you there
if you're born.
It's convenient, right?
Right, of course, because a lot of offices don't carry it unless they're really affiliated with a large hospital system. But I would just say, if before 1957, I think you're fine. Honestly, I think you're fine. However, after 1957, if you're not sure, it's worth, if you don't remember at all getting vaccinated for a variety of different reasons. Some people, so for my generation, I was the last generation to actually have chicken pox, right? So
yeah, me too.
So from my perspective, we just could confirm immunity by the pediatrician would write, exposed, or as long as they documented had it, right? As long as that was there. And then we even had parties where we had friends come over.
Oh,
and
Gracie did.
I
sent Gracie over to play with our neighbor when she got it, and Gracie got it. And it was like, okay, there you go. Done with the chicken pox.
And so for that cohort of people who believe they might have had it or not quite sure yet, I would definitely want to confirm just with my doctor's office. Just to say, well, wait a minute, let me confirm immunity first. Now, of course, is it going to hurt for you to get your booster shot for measles at this point in your life, especially if you're in your 40s or 50s? Absolutely not. I think I've had to get mine, but because I'm in healthcare.
Yeah, I was going to say you're in healthcare.
It's extremely important to make sure that I'm updated on these things. And so I think it's important that, yes, if it's available, you definitely want it, but definitely make sure and just confirm with your doctor's office that either A, you need it, or B, you don't.
Right.
And that's where I would approach this. And I would once again just want to mention, for someone that's cared for people who've been stricken with polio or rheumatic fever, at no point, at any point in their lifetime, did they ever tell me, this is something that I wanted. Or say, if the opportunity came for me to be vaccinated for this to never get it, I would have never taken the vaccine. They never say that to me, but they do tell me about their struggles as to what their day was like, or their year was like, or what their lifetime is like, having to be stricken with a preventable disease in childhood. And so their anger towards the people that kind of made those decisions for them is there. Now, whether or not they had access to it or not is a different story. But I think it's all relevant, and I think it's something we still should be very mindful of, even in a time where we've been able to declare certain diseases gone. They're starting to come back. And so that's one thing we need to keep in mind.
All right, it is 7:01. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. Dr. Akinyele Lovelace, thank you so much for some really vital information about something that we're hearing more and more in mainstream media, and the news and so forth.
Yeah, we're getting the calls in my office for it, so it's something we needed to talk about.
All right, it is 7:01.
Programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Noble Hospital, a brand new name for a Westfield institution which is improving the health of our community every day with quality and compassion. Noble Hospital and Bay State Health, better together.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Discussions of local politics, events, happenings, and miscellany potpourri. Ken's Den, Tuesday, 8 to 10.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Here we go.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:04. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses.
We're still talking about it.
We are still. We got Dr. Lovelace all fired up on his way out the door now. Have a good week. I'll see you tomorrow. Yes, see you tomorrow. Designer bag bingo. We'll talk. That'll be fun. Yay.
If he survives.
If he survives. Be back and forth. All right. So we have a few announcements to make before our next two guests come in, Tracy Clapp and Rosa Feldman from Bay State Noble Hospital. We'll be talking about something a little bit different.
Yeah.
The opioid issue.
Gears.
Shifting gears. All right. So a couple of things going on at the Senior Center. First of all, today we have our Lunch and Learn. It's called Malnutrition. Are you an unknowing victim? Which I actually wanted to bring up with Dr. Lovelace, but he was so fired up about the measles thing that we didn't have time. So if you are on a restricted salt, fat, or protein diet, if you have dental problems which make eating certain foods painful, if you experience gastrointestinal symptoms as a result of certain medications, if you're sad and lonely and you just don't feel like eating much, you may be suffering from malnutrition. And even if you are getting enough food in you, it may be that you're not getting enough of the right nutrients and vitamins and minerals and so forth. So this is a problem that the Executive Office of Elder Affairs in Boston is seeing more and more of. And so because of that, They have given out some grants to the ASAPs, which is the Aging Services Access Points. Ours is Highland Valley Elder Services here in our area. And we have the dietitian from Highland Valley, Nicole Shivas, will be with us today at lunch to talk a little bit about the issue of malnutrition. So the way this works is that we will have our lunch, which will be served at 12 noon. And we happen to be having turkey dinner today. So it'll be turkey and gravy and cornbread stuffing and vegetable and apple crisp for dessert.
There you go.
Yes. But in between the entree and dessert is when we'll have our little 15 or 20-minute presentation on the topic of the day, which today is malnutrition. So it is a ticketed event. We do have about 20 tickets left, and that's it. The rest of them have been sold. It's our regular $3 price. So if you would like to join us today for our lunch and learn, I suggest that you come to the Senior Center and get your ticket early this morning when we open at 8:30, and then you can go about your day and do your thing, because I suspect that if you wait until 11 o'clock or so, I kind of doubt that we'll have any tickets left for that.
Probably be sold out.
Yeah, probably be sold out, which, by the way, the Mother's Day party, which is on May 23rd, I believe there is one ticket left, and it's been there since Friday, because they think a lot of people are looking for 2 tickets. But if you're, somebody who just needs one for yourself, come on down. I think as of yesterday morning, it was still there. I will also want to remind folks that we have a eyeglass donation box at the Senior Center now through the Westfield Lions Club. Sandra Fisher, my morning greeter, has been emptying the box every couple of days. We have people decluttering and downsizing, and they're getting rid of all kinds of stuff, eyeglasses being one of them. So the Lions Club is collecting old eyeglasses, reading glasses, and prescription sunglasses. So if you have any of those that, the prescription has worn out for you, you're 6 prescriptions later, and they've been sitting in a drawer, take them out of the drawer, put them in a little Ziploc bag, and the box is located right in the Fireside Lounge. Also, we have an abundance. I'm putting this in the June newsletter. We have an abundance of a supply of incontinence aids.
Yeah, you keep saying that.
Yes. So the pull-ups, the wraparounds, we have every size. We have pads. We have the Chucks pads, which are, all of that stuff is incredibly expensive. So if you or someone you know is in need of such an item, please come by the Senior Center. We do ask that when you borrow medical equipment or you get incontinence supplies, if you get there by 4 o'clock, especially if you're borrowing medical equipment, because there's some paperwork that has to be done. Yeah. We close at 4:30, so don't show up at 4:29 and say, I need to borrow a wheelchair because we've got 10 minutes worth of paperwork to do, and the staff is, they're ready to leave. So by 4 o'clock, and that includes picking up incontinence supplies as well. A reminder that our Senior Center nurse is there. Mary Ellen Asher is there Tuesdays and Fridays in the morning from 9 a.m. to noon. I think everybody's kind of getting the hang of that. So she generally has a line of people waiting for her when she gets in now. And she will do, she'll take your blood pressure. She'll do a lot of educational stuff, one-on-one educational. If you have questions about your medications, especially
if you don't have a lot of time with your doctor.
Right. If you've been put on something new, or maybe you recently had a visit with your doctor and you didn't quite understand what he or she said, Mary Ellen will break it down for you. So good stuff. We have a program coming up on Thursday, May 30th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. It's called Estate Planning Beyond the Basics. We have attorney Al Gordon will be with us, and he will educate listeners about the complicated topic of estate planning. He's going to explain how trusts can benefit you and your family, the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust, methods for protecting your assets from nursing home costs, and he will answer the question, is giving my house to my children a good idea or a bad idea? So join us for that presentation. Again, that's Thursday, May 30th, 6 to 7:30. Please just give us a call. That is, right now, that is very popular. We have like 65 people signed up for that already. And it's fine. We can accommodate as many. We're going to hold it in the great room. We just need to know how many chairs we're setting up. So give us a call at 562-6435. Again, that's Thursday, May 30th. So we've got a couple of weeks before that happens. If you are interested, this one is a community-based, but Stanley Park will be doing their annual wheel walk on Saturday, June 8th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. If you are interested in joining the Senior Center team, I think right now we have 7 walkers, 7 or maybe 8 walkers. We try to get a team together. Barbara Coleman kind of heads up that group every year. Irene Lansing and her guide dog Yoshi will be walking. We have a bunch of them that have done it before and are going to do it again. But we are certainly happy to welcome new members to join our Wheel Walk team. And that's all to support accessibility at Stanley Park. It's an endeavor to bring awareness to accessibility for all. And that is Stanley Park's ongoing initiative. The event is designed to accommodate everyone with or without wheels. So this includes those who use wheelchairs, walkers, strollers, and those folks who support accessibility. So this is a really great fundraiser for Stanley Park, and we support this every year and are happy to do so. Let's see, we got a couple minutes for a couple more announcements. So this was a new one for me, Pete.
Okay.
Dewey House Summer Social Craft Fair. I saw this in, I think this was in it was either in the Westfield News or in the Penny Saver. So the second annual Dewey House Summer Social Craft Fair is scheduled for Saturday, June 15th. On where else? The lawn of the Church of the Atonement. I have to say, the Church of the Atonement is they are so much a part of this community.
Yeah, they do a lot.
Right on Court Street in Westfield. And it's going to take place from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The rain date is Saturday, June 22nd. And right now they are looking for local craftspeople, not vendors, okay, no direct sales, please, but craftspeople to join us. Each space is $30. Pre-registration is required. It's an outdoor event and space is limited. Last year's event was the first annual and it was very successful. And all the proceeds from this event will go to the Dewey House Preservation Fund. So that made me question, okay, so what's the Dewey House?
You don't know where the Dewey House is?
The Dewey House, built circa 1735, is the only colonial era home in Westfield open to the public as a museum.
Correct.
It's part of the Westfield Schools elementary curriculum, and it's a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So, no, I don't. Where is the Dewey House?
It's right across from the F.L. Roberts, where the gas station is, on going over the Coles Bridge. It's right across the street. It's a red house.
Okay.
Dark red house.
I will have to go check it out.
So you know where going down towards Southwick, right?
Yes.
And I can't remember the name of the street off the top of my head. It's 202.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you look out of the Jiffy Lube, right across the street is Dewey House.
No kidding.
Yep.
All right. Well, I got to take a ride out there and see where this is.
And they're open a couple times a year as a museum.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
It's
the only
open houses.
Yeah, so I think that would be kind of cool to see that.
Danny Nason's photographed it several times and taken some great pictures in there. Yeah.
Okay, so Danny
one day,
can keep me informed.
I saw him. I was getting my oil changed, and I looked out, and I go, "There's Danny shooting pictures at the Dewey House."
That is really neat.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to go in it. I'd love to know when they open it up as the museum piece, so that we can. So that would be.
Yeah, they usually advertise it.
Yeah, I know. I'll keep an eye on that, and maybe Danny can keep me informed so that I can make that.
I think
announcement.
he rarely posts that in Experience Westfield on Facebook.
Okay, yeah, got it. Well, but I have people that are informing me all the time, so and Danny's one of them. Thank you, Danny. Okay, my last announcement: guided walks around Stanley Park. They have begun. We're trying to welcome spring, so the walks around the park take place on Thursday mornings from 9:30 to 10:30. They started last week, and I know last week we didn't know where they met, but now I know. All walkers should meet at the Westfield Bank Children's Museum. So they're redoing the tennis courts. If you go in that entrance to the park,
Children's Pavilion.
Yeah.
You said museum.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pavilion.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Where we
Pete.
set up for Run Westfield.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Correct. Yep. Exactly. So just go past the tennis courts.
Not Run Westfield.
It's Run Stanley.
Run Stanley.
Okay. Pete and I are on. We're. It's been a long week. I don't have Mary Lou this week. That's my excuse for everything. I am trying to do this luncheon. I don't know what I was thinking. I must have been out of my mind.
You know what it is? I got no Kenny this week. So Kenny usually helps me gear up for these big events.
Yeah, and you know what? When is Kenny coming back?
He's flying in late Friday night.
I was going to say he's got to be here for this weekend. He's not going to miss the 350th.
He's flying in late Friday night, so he'll be
yeah. You know what? It is
interesting on Saturday.
You really appreciate your sidekick, Pete, when they're not around, and you're it's one thing to just kind of do the normal day-to-day things, but when you're trying to do
gear up for
big events and special events and parties and luncheons and all the other normal
people
stuff,
you can rely on. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Well, you know what? that it's not only people you can rely on, but people that you're really in sync with. And I've learned, for the senior center programming, like Mary Lou and I have worked together so well to, when we do a special event or a big party or whatever, it's like you just automatically know she'll take care of this. I'll do this we'll do together. And so you don't even have to talk about it. It's like, she's walking out of the room so that I can get in and do my thing. And then 15 minutes later, I'm walking out so she can go back in and do hers. And then we're doing it together. We don't even have to say, okay, I'm done now. You can. It's like, yep, okay, here you go.
I'm going to be begging students tomorrow to stage all the equipment, to set it all up, and make sure it all works before we roll it out to the parade on Sunday.
All right. It is 7:16. You are listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. So our guests are here. We will bring them in during this break. We have Tracy Clapp and Rosa Feldman. We're going to be talking about the opioid crisis, and we're going to be talking about a special event that the two of them are planning. So we'll be back. So all three of these next songs for our next three breaks have to do with Mental Health Awareness Month. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. This song is I Just Wasn't Made for These Times by the Beach Boys.
I keep looking for a place to fit in where I can speak my mind. And I've been trying hard to find the people that I won't leave behind. They say I got brains, but they ain't doing me no good. I wish they could. Each time things start to happen again, I think I got something good going for myself. But what goes wrong? Sometimes I feel very sad. Sometimes I feel very sad. Sometimes I feel very sad. I guess I just wasn't made for these times. Every time I get the inspiration to go change things around, no one wants to help me look for places where new things might be found. Where can I turn when my fair weather friends come out? What's it all about? Each time things start to happen again, I think I got something good going for myself. But what goes wrong? Sometimes I feel very sad. Sometimes I feel very sad. Sometimes I feel very sad too. I guess I just wasn't made for these times. I guess I just wasn't made for these times. Guess I just wasn't made for these times. I guess I just wasn't made for these times. I guess I just wasn't made for these
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Underwriting is brought to you by Boise Cascade Distribution, providing products and services needed for building material dealers, home improvement centers, and industrial customers. They offer everything from engineered wood and plywood to Drex decking and railing, James Hardie siding, and Advantech subfloor. Located at 33 Fowler Street Extension in Westfield and on the web at bc.com, they are committed to providing quality products, great service, convenience, and value.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Discussions of local politics, events, happenings, and miscellany potpourri. That's what you'll find on Ken's Den, Tuesdays from 8 till 10.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:22. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, May 15th. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
And my guests this second hour are Tracy Clapp, manager and educator of case management at Bay State Noble Hospital, and Rosa Fellman, director of inpatient care services at Bay State Noble Hospital. Welcome, ladies.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning.
So usually, just to make everybody feel comfortable, and I know they're going to be doing Mass Live later, which is going to be very fast-paced, but this is going to be just very slow and calm because we have plenty of time here. So what I like to do usually is start with kind of who you are, a little bit about your background so that my guests know who I'm interviewing before we get to the topic at hand, which is an important topic. So, Rose, I'm going to start with you because you've been on the show before. So tell us a little bit about your background. What right now we know what your title is, but kind of how did you get there? Where did you go to school? That kind of thing.
So I spent probably 25 years in Amherst. I went to the Lady of Elms where I did my undergrad, my master's, and currently I'm working on my DMP.
Wow. In nursing?
Yes, in nursing.
Wow.
Nursing. I am, experience-wise, I worked in med-surg, ICU, ER, outpatient, and now ended up here. I've been with Bay State for a very long time, I think since 2005, as a SNAP, a student nurse apprentice.
Okay.
So, and now I landed in Westfield as the director of inpatient care services.
Now, how long have you been in Westfield?
Actually, this October, I'll be here for 5 years.
Oh, it is 5 years.
It is going to be 5 years.
I feel like I'm getting older because I feel like I met you when you first started here, so it's been a little while.
It's been great. I really love the community, and I love the hospital. It's a very unique hospital. I landed in a good place.
So now, when did you decide you wanted to be a nurse? Was that when you were little, or did that kind of evolve later on?
To be completely honest, I thought I wanted to be a teacher when I was younger.
Sure.
I had a very difficult delivery with my son, who's now going to be 20.
Okay.
And I remember my midwife and my nurse coming into the room, and just how authentic they were, gentle. And I remember them saying to everybody, "This is just about her." And the focus truly was like on me, like mind, body, and soul. And I changed my whole profession.
Really?
I really did. And the really cool story regarding that was the nurse practitioner at the time ended up me and her became really good friends. But my sister, who is 11 and a half years younger than me, was there for the delivery. And my sister also is a nurse because of this midwife.
So just the whole experience there.
It really was. Yeah, it was great.
Now, it's really interesting to me because I know sometimes people will say, there was a teacher who changed my life or, a friend of the family. But I mean, in this case, it was really these people who were there at the birth that turned things around.
He also was born with a cord around his neck, and there was a lot of anxiety. But for a scary first-time mom,
yes,
the compassion and nurturing and just her walking us through every single step was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to give that to somebody else.
Wow, what a great story.
Yeah, so that's my story.
So now, in your job now, what do you do? Like, kind of walk us through a typical day. What are you responsible for? I mean, I know this sounds really big. It's like, okay, director of inpatient care services. I'm thinking about, like, one person has to do all that?
I do. So I oversee the med-surg telemetry, ICU, cardiology, the rehab, dialysis, education, respiratory, cardiac rehab, pulmonary rehab, and then I see the house supervisors, and I feel like I'm forgetting something, but with that, I have a phenomenal team. Yeah. I have 4 or 5 great supervisors, house supervisors that manage the house, and I have 2, a manager in our ICU and then an assistant manager of inpatient care services. So I'm really lucky. Yeah. So in my day, I don't know, from meetings to working the floor to, education, family. I think all of us are pretty diverse. Yes. And we can. I really want to say I take a lot of pride in Noble and the fact that we support one another and there's no silos. So I could go to the ER, work the floor in the ER. Somebody can come upstairs, work upstairs. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of our day.
I think the interesting thing about now Noble is considered a smaller house. We're a community hospital, and I think you have to be the right person to fit in that, because I think all of you, and I know Tracy's nodding over here, you all wear a lot of hats.
We do.
And I've always told I take a lot of student interns at the senior center, and I have a staff of 15. So we're, it's a relatively small organization as, social service organizations go. And so, I'll tell my student interns, if you want that kind of experience where, I've made the coffee, cleaned the floors, written grants, worked with crisis intervention. I mean, we're all over the map. And I expect out of my staff, if I have, if we have a crisis going over here, I expect everybody's going to drop what they're doing. You may have to cover for that one because I need her here or whatever. And I love that. And I think my staff really loves that. I think that's attractive. It's not for everybody. Some people, it's like, nope, I want to do, this is like my one thing that I want to do, counseling, case management, or, med cert, whatever it is. And I don't want to, so I think the small hospital atmosphere sort of allows you, I'm listening to the scope of what you do, and I'm thinking, that you can do that in a small hospital,
and you can, and it allows you a lot of growth. I think. I think you challenge yourself in ways that you didn't think you could or accomplish things, and I think it's a great opportunity to learn.
Absolutely,
and like
absolutely.
You said it's some people really like their lane, and I'm one of them that I like to touch a little bit of everything. So it's great. Yeah. I've really enjoyed it, and I've grown tremendously. And I think the hospital is growing, and we're doing a lot of new exciting things, and and we have a great team. I think the whole team is the same way.
Yeah, we're lucky. We are so lucky to have our own community hospital. It's amazing. Tracy, let's talk a little bit about you. How did you get to where you are today?
So a little different from Rosie. I always knew I wanted to be a nurse all of my life. I'm a 3rd-generation nurse. My daughter, who's 17, is going to be a fourth generation
nurse.
So she did have a choice. Don't let any,
You sure about that, Mom? You sure about that?
Yeah. So it's very exciting. So I always knew I started my career in a community cancer center in Connecticut. I worked in oncology and hematology for about 10 years. That was before I was a nurse, and then completed nursing school. Went on to work for a urology group out of St. Francis Hospital in Connecticut, and split my time with them. One of the physicians specialized in spinal cord injuries and multiple sclerosis. So I did some work at Mount Sinai in Bloomfield, where we worked in a multiple sclerosis center, which was very rewarding to me. I had some
that's a whole different experience. Yeah.
So I loved that work. And then I was there for about 7 years and transitioned into home care at Bay State Home Infusion as a IV infusion nurse, and within that company moved into a clinical liaison role out in the community, and then into Bay State Medical Center in Springfield, and did that for a handful of years. And then I went back to school, went to Elms as well, graduated from Our Lady of the Elms in Chicopee with my bachelor's degree in nursing, and wanted to really get into leadership at within Bay State Health System. So there was an opportunity to come to Bay State Noble about 4 years ago to work on a chart grant, which focused on working with folks in the community that were high utilizers of our emergency room and inpatient care services. So that's what brought me to Bay State Noble, and it was such a great move for me. It just opened up so many opportunities and doors. I have had the opportunity to do things at Bay State Noble that I probably never otherwise would have had the opportunity to do.
Okay.
So I had a great opportunity to work with Rosie on that grant, and when that grant was completed, I was kind of like, well, what now?
Yeah, what do I do now?
I knew there was
that's the thing about it. That's the thing about a grant thing. It's like, okay, now what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to move into the case management department at Bay State Noble. So I have been there for a few years, and here we are again now, Rosie and I working on a great opportunity, a grant that the hospital recently received, and I think it's kind of our niche.
You know, I have to tell you, I think it's hysterical because I listen to these two backgrounds, and people, you know, we're on the radio, so people, I feel like you should be like in your 90s for all that you've done, like for all these experiences. And I'm looking, I'm going, they look really young for people
very young.
Yeah,
very
for people
young.
who have like this background, and I did this, and then I did that, and then I did this, and I worked here, and I worked there, and I'm thinking, oh, how old are you? You look like, you know, it sounds like you should be like, you know, 95 for having all this experience. All right, so now we know your background. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to get into the topic of the day, which is a special event that you have coming up. We're going to talk a little bit about the opioid crisis and the event that you have coming up in a couple of weeks. So it is 7:32. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses. Again, my guests this morning are Tracy Clapp and Rosa Feldman from Bay State Noble Hospital. We'll take a short break with this song, Help by the Beatles, for Mental Health Awareness Month.
Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:36. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and my guests this morning are Tracy Clapp, Manager and Educator of Case Management at Bay State Noble Hospital, and Rosa Feldman, Director of Inpatient Care Services at Bay State Noble Hospital. So welcome again, ladies.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So you've got a big community awareness event day coming up. So who wants to start telling us what's this all about? When is it? Where is it? And what's it all about? Let's start there.
So I guess I'll start maybe with a little bit of the history.
Sure.
In December of 2018, Bay State Noble got an earmark grant in the amount of $50,000 to work collaboratively with the community, base advisory committee, and so our goal was to address the opioid crisis.
Okay.
And then Tracy and our team, who we've worked together in grants, came up with this great event that we're going to have May 25th, and you can probably elaborate a little bit more on that.
So the event is going to be Saturday, May 25th at Strathmore Park in Russell.
Okay.
So we're hoping for good weather and a big turnout. So really want to encourage people in the community of all ages to come out and really have a day of learning and education, connecting with people in the community. So many people have been affected by this crisis, so we understand that people may be coming out for various reasons, whether it's you're been very successful in recovery and want to celebrate that great accomplishment, or maybe in memory of someone, or just in general,
or just family friends who are struggling with addictions in the family.
Yeah. It really truly seems like just about everyone you speak to about this have been affected in one way or another.
Okay.
So we're so excited. We're going to have local resources. Behavioral Health Network will be there.
Okay.
Right Choice from Westfield. Then we'll have some fun interactive things, some like board breaking to kind of represent breaking barriers and overcoming obstacles. So we'll have some obstacle courses, and Agawam Max House will be there with some coaches. So there'll be a lot of opportunity to learn.
Okay.
We're going to have a great speaker from the Jack Jonah Foundation. Mr. Jonah unfortunately lost his son to an accidental overdose a few years ago.
And that was in West Springfield.
Yeah. So it's going to be a great day.
Okay.
So we're very excited.
So tell us about the timing and with the speaker, when are different things going to happen?
So throughout the day, we're going to have food, entertainment, resources, people available to speak to, ask questions, learn about different pathways for recovery.
Okay.
We're also going to have some people there talking about non-pharmaceutical pain management. So there'll be someone there doing Reiki sessions.
And then a big goal of ours is to provide education.
Okay.
So, and this would be a perfect segue to talk about what we're doing at Bay State Noble. So we partner up with our ED department, and we will be, recently, I would say in the last year and a half, we've had about 65 patients ranging from 18 to 60 who ended up presenting into ER with overdose.
Okay.
Several of those ended up being repeat visitors.
Right.
So our goal is to establish a Narcan kit.
Okay.
With the ED, provide education. We are going to be following them for 3 months.
Okay.
We'll be providing bridge programs, resources, because we also believe that you may not want help today, but you may want it next week. You may not want it next week.
Okay, describe the concept of bridge, because I think a lot of the, people in the hospital tend to throw around these terms and think that the, Joe Sixpack out there knows what you're talking about. So what does that mean?
So which mean is, let's say we're working with Right Choice. You come in, we would have one of our what was Dallas' official title?
We have mental health clinicians and a transitional care coordinator that works in the emergency room.
Okay.
Who would reach out to these individuals and set them up with Right Choice, make them an appointment, maybe try to work with them to get them into a recovery program.
Okay.
And so our goal is to follow these individuals for 3 months.
Okay.
And continue giving them resources or options or opportunity to come back.
So kind of a little bit of hand holding.
Yeah, a little bit
kind of okay.
Yeah,
because I think realistically, and this goes for anybody with a hospital visit. They leave the hospital, you send them. It's like here's a list of places where you can get help, and you hope that they're going to go get help. I mean, and some people don't have, they don't have transportation, they don't have finances, they have all kinds of other issues going on, and you kind of sent them on their merry way.
Right. That's something that Rosie and I learned from working with previous grants is the importance of really following up with these people. Like Rosie said, they're going to come into our emergency room with an overdose. They may be feeling very afraid, very ashamed, not wanting to open up and talk about it, but they're going to leave our hospital, Bay State Noble Emergency Department, with education, a Narcan kit. We're going to include their family or friends, whoever is closest to them, that's their good support system, and continue following them and not giving up on them. So we'll keep calling and kind of throwing that lifeline out there, like we're here for you if you need us. And the community partnerships that we formed with Right Choice, BHN, those Westfield EMS, those are so important that we need to all work together in the community. And I think,
if I recall correctly, and I may be misinformed on this one, but it seems to me that I think at one of the last meetings that I had attended, that Dallas was saying, do you have some numbers yet on some of the just some of the people that you're following and not seeing as many repeats to the ER, or was that another meeting I attended?
So we talked about the data we pulled when we received the grant. We said, okay, well, let's get a kind of an idea of what we're looking at.
Right? Yeah.
So we just looked generically at how many patients presented to our emergency room with a known opioid overdose.
Yep.
So that's where we came up with, there's, I think, 65 patients. And as Rosie pointed out, there's a few that have been to our emergency room 2 or 3 times.
Oh, sure.
And the age range is quite wide.
And you know what? I think people are probably surprised at that, because I think people would probably assume everybody was in their 20s.
Right.
But that's not what you're saying.
That is not
and what about male female? Are you seeing differences there, kind of across the board?
They're both. I would say they're about even. I think we had, and I could be misspeaking, but I think we had one additional male, but the numbers are very, very close.
That's
and then I think the other aspect of this, which I think is really nice, is we're building care plans for these individuals. So if you come back again, we'll know what we offered you. We know what the resources that we gave you. We'll find out whether they worked for you or not.
Yep.
And our goal is to continue these care plans and then share them with the ED or share them with inpatients, so that we're really looking at the whole picture. And I think that that's a very unique avenue. And we did also learn this from our previous grant, which was, some things will work for one individual and may not work for another.
Sure.
And then when you present, you go to an emergency room, you're starting your story all over. It could be a different physician. It could be a different nurse who doesn't know you.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to develop these care plans too, so that it doesn't matter who is seeing you come to the ED, but they know your story. They know what progress you're making, and then we're really, really having a multidisciplinary team assess you during this process, which I'm really excited about, because it's worked really, really well. And we've had some wonderful success stories with our past grant, and I think we can do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about continuity of care, and
truly is.
So often in the health care system, you feel as the patient or as a family member of a patient, it's like you feel like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, or you feel like, oh my God, do I have to tell this story again? I just told 6 different people, but part of the thing for those of us utilizing the services are that sometimes you don't even know who all these people are. This
True.
one came, well, I told that man, and I don't know what that man's title is, so I don't exactly know. He asked me questions over, and then this woman came in and she asked me a bunch of questions, and so I think anything where we can bring that together, and I think that's the whole idea of like electronic charting, and and all of these different. I think it's taking it to where we're taking some of our technology and saying, well, how can we really use this for the betterment of the patient and the family and their support system?
And then just also exposing family in the community. Recently we just heard a story in Holyoke where there was a bystander at a Dunkin' Donuts who ended up giving a Narcan and saving this person's life. It's knowing if we're nervous. Sometimes you don't know how to react. You're in it, and knowing that it's so important to call 911 right away. And if you have a kid, this is how you administer, especially to the family members. I think that providing, and so that's another a big part of this event will be education. Yeah. Here's a little quick step on the safety measures. Call 911. This is what you can do if you have a kit. This is how you would apply it, and giving people that education piece to build their confidence that, hey, this is really, really important. You could be saving somebody walking down the street, or you can be saving a loved one.
Sure.
I feel like it's the new standards of providing the education, just like we do with stroke and we do with heart attack.
With heart attacks, absolutely.
And now we're saying, hey guys, we have standard now to prevent overdose, and we really want to share this education. And so this is, I think, what our goal for this event will be.
Okay.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Okay. Yes. Well, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about the specifics of the event and sort of how it's going to be set up. But we will do that when we come back. It is 7:47. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. My guests this morning are Tracy Clapp and Rosa Feldman from Bay State Noble Hospital. We're talking about the opioid crisis and an upcoming awareness event that they're going to be having on May 25th. Our break song this time is by The Doors. It's People Are Strange, and again for Mental Health Awareness Month.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. Alright, yeah.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Comcast and Xfinity.com, offering Xfinity TV, Internet, home phone, and home security services. Information on all that Xfinity has to offer in the Westfield area is available online at Xfinity.com. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:51. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, May 15th, and it is finally a day when it's not raining outside. I should probably mention the weather because I haven't had to mention it for the last month and a half because it's just, rain. But it's been, it should be a decent day today in the 60s. For those of us that are getting ready for Run Westfield, it's a good day to go get a run in without rain. I got my run in yesterday just before it started raining, and I had a really great run because it was kind of cold out. So that was motivation to, it's kind of chilly out here. Let's do this fast. My guests this morning are Tracy Clapp and Rosa Feldman, and they are working on a special event. This is an awareness event for the opioid crisis that we're facing. And I mean, we see it here in Westfield. I think you can attest to that. I mean, it's not just in the big cities, folks. It's not just New York and Boston and California. It's here. So we're talking about this event that you're having on May 25th, right? At Strathmore Park up in Russell. So just so that our listeners understand sort of the flow of the event. We were talking a little bit off air, but so you'll have different providers, different resources at tables, so people can actually go and sort of have a one-on-one conversation. Is that
Absolutely
kind of
correct.
How this is going to work?
Correct.
Yes,
okay.
People are free to come throughout the day, come and go as they please. We'll be there from 12 to 4:30. Our speaker, again, will be speaking at 2 o'clock for about 45 minutes or so, and he's going to be available as well to answer questions and so forth. So tell us again, who are some of the providers that will be there where people can get information? What are some of the organizations or agencies? We'll have Right Choice from here.
Now, what is Right Choice? I mean, you mentioned them 3 or 4 times, and I feel like I should bring them on the radio show. I don't know who that is.
Yes, they would be great for you to bring
What
on
is
the
Right
show.
Choice?
So they're here in Westfield. They offer recovery support. It's a recovery program. They
Really?
have various supports.
Okay.
And we've been able to partner with them to work out a way to streamline referrals. So it's a big challenge for patients when they're discharged, as we spoke earlier.
Yes. Yeah.
They're kind of, here's a list.
Yeah.
Go
Here
call.
you go. Have fun.
Right.
Go with this. Somebody will help you out there.
Right.
So Right Choice.
So our goal is really to stay well connected with these patients that present to our emergency department and continue following them in the community. And by building these relationships, they've agreed to, with us to say, hey,
we'll work collaboratively.
Let's get these people in. And Rosie can probably speak a little bit more to some of the work that we've done previously with our emergency room physicians, with getting them the appropriate training for prescribing Suboxone and different therapies to help people through recovery. And a lot of times what happens is patients will come in and they'll leave with no appointment, no follow-up, no prescription to get them through, if they come in on a Friday and the clinic's not open till Monday.
Yep.
This way we'll be able to offer them some bridge therapy to get them through until we can get them into a clinic and be seen.
So Right Choice will be at the event. That will be one of the providers that will be there. What
Behavioral Health Network from right here in Westfield will be coming with some peer recovery coaches.
And that was just for, for those who are Westfield natives, that used to be Carson Center.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So I know people going, what is that? So it's now Behavioral Health Network.
Yeah, so they will be there with some folks that have lived this, that have been through there and know it best. So they'll have some information on various resources that they offer. Westfield EMS and Fire will be there to do some education.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're on the front lines.
Yes, and Gandara House will be there. It's a sober living, and they have some recovery programs.
Nice.
And then
perfect.
Tracy and myself will be at a table, and we'll be providing education. If you have a Narcan kit, this is how you would use it.
Yeah.
These are the steps. So we'll be providing one-on-one education ourselves on that table.
Perfect.
And, just to elaborate, Dr. Craig Shacker, who is one of the physicians in the emergency department, has been a great support in providing education, getting his physicians to be trained and certified in Suboxone dispensing or scripts, and he did a great job with working with Right Choice. So it's been a really nice collaboration.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things where, again, I always put myself in the place of the public who's not in the know with all this medical stuff. You just kind of assume, those are ER doctors. They know everything there is to know about everything. But, all of a sudden you've got this new crisis on your hands.
Right.
And they have to be trained and schooled and educated in all of this as well. And then so do all of the staff that are working with them.
Exactly.
So, we don't really think about that. We just assume, you went to med school, so you know how to do this. Well,
right.
You don't get trained on all this stuff in med school. It's like whatever the crisis of the year is. And we've kind of been dealing with this opioid thing now for a few years. But the statistics are staggering. I mean, just in terms of families who have been impacted, there's practically not a family out there that hasn't been impacted in one way or another. So again, let's we just have a few minutes. So let's talk again about the day and the time and the place and rain or shine and all of that stuff. So it's okay. So it is the date.
It's Saturday, May 25th.
Okay, and the time
from 12 to 4:30 with our guest speaker being at 2:00.
Got it.
People are free to come and mill around, learn, talk, connect.
Right, so you can drop in. You don't have to feel like you have to spend 4.5 hours there, although, you may get there and find that you do because it's so interesting.
And a big thing, it's a free event.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Free.
No charge. No charge for any of that.
So I think that's a big deal.
And also it's family, right? This is for everybody. This is for younger people, older people, because, part of this training is, part of the educational process is for our kids in schools. Again, I remember back in the old days, you would do all these trainings for adults, and then, it's like, maybe we really need to get to the college age. And then it was like, well, maybe we need to get to the high school. Now we know. I mean, whether you're talking about tobacco use or alcohol use or drug use, or you got to start in the elementary schools.
Exactly. This is for everybody. And I think we've geared education very simple for even, I think, a middle school person to be able to follow. Even it's just calling 911 and this is what you do, to again your high school, to your college, to just that mother or father that's at home, even grandparents. Mean, this is really a wide range.
Absolutely.
So I think that this event has a little bit of everything for everybody.
Okay.
Yes.
And talk about, you mentioned the obstacle course a couple of times. So what's that about? That sounds kind of fun.
So our theme is kind of overcoming the obstacles of the opioid crisis. So
I love it. So it's a very literal way of looking at this theme.
Yes. So we have to, represent Dallas. That was all his idea.
This was Dallas's thing?
Yes. Yeah. So that whole theme, and it's so representative, right?
Absolutely.
It truly is such an obstacle.
Well,
for so many
and
people.
when we were just talking about this whole intergenerational thing, just in terms of, I know when we were talking about the board that's been floating around Westfield for the last couple of years, the memory board. And I had it at my senior options event a few years ago. Wasn't really sure how that would go over. I can't tell you the number of grandparents who put messages on the board because they have lost grandchildren. And of course, it's not, and it's not like people who are older don't have opioid addictions as well. I mean, it's not like they, they're not, they're included.
They're not immune.
They're not immune.
No,
Thank you, Pete. I couldn't come up with that word.
Not.
All right. So Saturday, May 25th, we do have the flyer hanging on in the vestibule in the senior center. So if you forget any of that, just it's all up there. We've had it posted for a couple of weeks now. I want to thank both of you for coming in. First of all, I just want to thank you for what you do, for your contributions to the hospital. Hospital and Bay State Noble Hospital is so important to our community. It really is. And we're so appreciative to have the hospital. But of course, the hospital isn't a building. It's made up of really dedicated workers. So thank you both for what you do. And good luck with the event. And I really hope that it touches a lot of people and educates a lot of people as
Everyone,
well.
Come.
Absolutely. May 25th. All right.
Thank you.
It is 8 o'clock. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses. I will see you all this weekend at the 350th celebration. I expect lots of people. If you want to cheer on the runners during Run Westfield, my best place for you to cheer would be right around at the Athenaeum, because that's when it's right around the corner to the finish line. That's when I need the most cheers. I'll be going through hopefully at around 1:25. So please be there. Cheer us on. Have a good one.
Support for the community programming of WSKB